To its devotees, the Church of Scientology is the only way forward to mental clarity, spiritual enlightenment, and, as its members call it, clear. Debbie Cook, a former church official, says she still believes that, and yet she's taken the stand in a Texas courtroom to testify that church officials held her against her will in a place known as the Hole that church officials deny even exists. ABC's Dan Harris continues his exclusive interview.
I'm Debbie Cook, captain of the Flag Service Organization.
For 17 years, Debbie Cook was one of Scientology's highest-ranking insiders. But according to her court testimony, in June of 2007, she was forcibly taken to the Hole, located here on Scientology's international base in California. It was, she says, a place for Scientology executives who had fallen out of favor with the leader of the church, David Miscavige. Cook testified she was in the Hole for 7 weeks, that she and the other executives were fed a sort of slop, that the place was crawling with ants, and that the temperature at times reached 106 degrees.
What did you do all day?
Most of the time, the activities were either you confessing your own sins or bad things that you've done, or getting another person to confess theirs. People are screaming at you, and in some cases, sometimes you're made to stand in a trash can and water's poured over you.
That happened to you?
Yes.
Did you break down at all?
I did, yeah, I did.
The church denied our repeated requests for an interview. However, their lawyer sent ABC News a letter saying flat out the Hole does not exist and never has. The letter did say that Cook voluntarily participated in their program of religious discipline, but that she was not taken there by force or held against her will, and that her account of what went on is inaccurate and misleading. In her court testimony, Cook says several months after she left the Hole, she decided to leave her position in church management. In this videotape released by the church, Cook and her husband Wayne are seen signing contracts agreeing to never publicly disparage the church or its leadership, and accepting checks for $50,000 apiece.
And you have high regards for the staff that you work with?
Very.
And how about the boss?
Big.
Yes. Talking about David Miscavige.
For more than 4 years, Cook remained silent. But just a few weeks ago, when she sent out this email to a large group of fellow Scientologists, complaining, among other things, about her belief that David Miscavige had accumulated too much power, the church sued her for breach of contract. Cook's lawyers argue that the contract is unenforceable because, despite what Cook says on this videotape...
And you're doing this voluntarily? No one has made any threats or forced you to do anything?
Not at all whatsoever.
She now argues she only signed under duress, something the church denies.
You know, I would have signed that, you know, I stabbed babies over and over again and loved it. I would have done anything, basically, at that point.
In a flurry of statements to ABC News, the church describes Cook's allegations using words like false, salacious, defamatory, fiction, untrue and distasteful, sensationalistic, and revisionist.
Essentially, they're saying that you and your husband are bitter, defrocked apostates, that's their term, and that you're part of a group of heretics. I believe the church term for that is squirrels. How do you respond to that?
I have never lost my passion or love for the church and all that it stands for and all that it does to help others. So I'm not bitter. It's really out of that passion and love and care that I am doing this, to rid it of a situation that has grown out of control. Nobody knew Flag like I did.
In our interview, Debbie Cook repeatedly insisted that her complaints were not directed at Scientology generally, only at the current leadership, especially Miscavige.
It's not the church, and it's not Scientology, and it's not Hubbard. It is a tyrannical individual operating in the church that's doing these things.
However, the church sent us numerous letters from Scientology executives describing David Miscavige in glowing terms. The church says the real story here, as told in this upbeat ad they've been running on national TV of late, is the explosive growth of Scientology, with 25 new churches built in the last 5 years alone. along with extensive anti-drug and human rights programs. The church now says Debbie Cook can no longer enter any Scientology building and cannot even call herself a Scientologist.
It's very hard. It's very traumatic for me. And the only thing that drives me is the fact that I hope I can affect a change, and I hope I can in some way help to get it back to what it is supposed to be, what it was always intended to be.
How optimistic are you that you can do that?
I don't know. I'm not sure.
For Nightline, this is Dan Harris in Bulverde, Texas.